Happy to welcome you back on the Manny Diaz Show. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr., University of Miami head coach Manny Diaz, Canes and Michigan State on Saturday at 12 o'clock at Hard Rock Stadium. Come on out and see the Canes, and you'll see a special wide receiver flying through the air, making incredible catches, reaching out. Keyshawn Smith is turning out to be, so far, so good, and has done a nice job for you.
Yeah, and that was one of the real highlights of the game. We made such a big point of emphasis going into this year of being better down the field in the outside lanes, and Keyshawn's catch was extraordinary. Rambo made a great toe tap catch along the sideline. We drew a couple PIs deep down the field. You know what I mean? When we went deep, Derek threw out, I thought, really good deep balls. But we're a threat throwing the ball down the field, and I think that's what Keyshawn and Rambo have brought to our team, and it just helps open up other things.
Coach, it appeared to us that they were doing a lot of dropping 8 men in that ball game, and that opens the door up for De'Aaron King anytime they're in that type of coverage. And sometimes it's prescribed, right, in the huddle or from the sideline. But overall, if being a defensive coordinator, what problems does De'Aaron create every single snap?
Right. Well, we always say you have to defend 2 plays: the play that's called, and then the play that he can create if the play that's called doesn't work. If a quarterback that can't do that, you want to stop the first play. And I think you were right on with your analysis. App State played a lot of deep zone after we hit him on some shots down the field. So when Derek was dropping back to throw, he had a bunch of set of eyes, 7 or 8 guys back there in coverage looking at him. So routes are going to take longer to come open, and sometimes you get those guys, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes by then the pocket collapses, and then you got to take off and go and get what's there. And so his ability to take what would be a good down for the App State defense, they've got everybody covered up, and then to go run. If you run for 5 yards, if you run for 10 yards, those are the things that help keep drives alive.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to pick up on your point, Don, of dropping 8. That's kind of in the new now. A couple years ago, nobody would want to drop 8, right? It was kind of a sign of, prevent defense, and we got to blitz everybody. But now, because of the spread, you do see, we drop 8 sometimes. You are seeing more of that coverage, right?
Well, we always say you have to get the quarterback off his first look, and there's a lot of ways to do that. Sometimes just man-to-man, and you can just dominate the first guy that he wants to throw the ball to. If he's not available, then the quarterback's got to go through his progression, and some guys can and some guys can't. For some people it is. You drop a lot of guys, and now so you make the quarterback hold on to the ball, you take him out of rhythm, and you say, well, it's not much of a pass rush, but the quarterback's sitting there holding the ball. Those guys actually have a chance to affect the quarterback. So there's a lot of ways to influence a quarterback. Offense is about rhythm and timing. A defense's job, therefore, is to try to disrupt that rhythm and timing. There's endless ways to do that.
One of the most impressive things about him in his running game is the fact is when he has the collision, he wins. That guy is more powerful than you realize.
Yeah, he's strong. Derek's a strong guy. He's got strong lower body. He's an animal in the weight room, and you don't like to see your quarterback delivering blows, but again, if Derek knows that we need an extra yard, he's going to do what it takes to get it.
When you look at your defense, what are you getting from your inside guys? Are you happy right now with the effort you're getting from Nesta Silveri, Jordan Miller in there, Harrison Hunt, John Ford rotating in? Where are they right now in their game?
Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago. About that was a big point of emphasis for us on defense, was to improve our D tackle play. Yeah. Silvera maybe played one of his better games in a Miami uniform on Saturday. Harrison Hunt was outstanding as well. You mentioned Ford and Miller. Those 4 guys are in their ability to go hard and really spell each other, because the snaps are usually about even. Really is huge. The first third down of the game, Harrison Hunt burst through the middle of the protection on a 3-man rush, 8-man drop, gets the quarterback off the spot, and Harvey sacks him. So our 1 sack was actually on a 3-man rush against him with an 8 drop. So playing the outside zone is a play we didn't play very well a year ago. Louisville, we played in game 2. It's basically the same offense, and they ran all over us running that play. It's hard to outrush App State, and we outrushed them. It's hard to hold them to 3-3 per run play, and that's exactly what happened, and that starts with our D tackle play.
You talk about the depth you have at defensive tackle. The guy that seems to is going to benefit maybe the most from that is Leonard Taylor, the freshman that came in, 5-star, highly recognized guy, but he's getting mentoring and he's getting proof every single week of how to play that game. First of all, how long will it take him to finally get adjusted and we can expect him in the rotation? But the impact that these older guys are having on him.
Well, yeah, that's what we talked about with this team, is that you want to have a room where older guys can kind of help the younger guys along. And I think as the year goes on, I think you'll see more and more of LT. He's learning though, and when guys don't come for spring ball, it's just going to be a little bit difficult. And the line positions are always the most difficult, right? Because that's just the big jump when you're 18 years old, to going against a bunch of 22, 23-year-olds. But he's special. He's really, really talented, and can't wait to see his role increase as the season goes on.
You're going to have to get some help in the backfield with Shaney being out. Got the kid from Tennessee or Georgia, Cody Brown, Thad Ferguson from Chaminade. Those two most likely have to step up to help out a little bit until you get Knighton back, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens with freshmen. I mean, as you mentioned, Brown and Franklin, it's their time. They got to have a great week in practice, and what the thing about running back is not just running the football. It's pass protection. It's how can you play when the ball is not in your hand. And so it's going to be important. But that's kind of what, that's why you come to Miami. And it's why we tell guys every year, during training camp, don't fuss about your role, because guess what? It's probably going to change during the course of the season. Unexpected things happen, and certainly this is an unexpected thing, and next man up.
Hey, let's spend a moment on that with the young guys if they don't come in, right? Some of them have the benefit to come in early, but if they don't come in, it's such a transition, just technique-wise. You go back to Leonard Taylor, with his size and speed in high school, he can do whatever he wants. Really, technique doesn't come into it, but you get to this level, it's a huge amount of it's technique.
It is, of course, and then just calls.
Right.
Learning an offense or defense is like learning a foreign language. And that just comes through repetition, And I think one of the things that usually is hard on freshmen is the older guys, they just heard it so much more often. So they know it. They don't have to think about what do I do on this play. They just instinctively do it. And that's what all you're doing. You're just trying to create habits. That's what practice is. It's about repetitions and create muscle memory, so you do it without thinking.
Another dive into Michigan State. One, their offensive line, everybody on their offensive line that's starting is there for at least 5 years. Two of them were there for year number 6. Peyton Thorne, the quarterback, was the number 1 quarterback in the state of Illinois, number 9, dual threat quarterback. So that's to be noted. And then Mel Tucker, you look at him, he was a guy that was in the Southeastern Conference. He's got a bunch of transfers there from Georgia or Alabama or Auburn, and high school players from that part of the country as well.
Yeah, and a team can change in a year because of transfers. I mean, we've seen that now. That's affected us here. But I really like the quarterback of the guys that you mentioned. I think his first action a year ago was later in the year. I think he came in against Ohio State. I think he completed his first 11 passes in that game. I think his first full start was at Penn State. He threw for like 350 or something like that in that game. So, they only played 7 games last year. I forget what it was, and then he came out this year and he's off to a great start. But it's his legs. That's what's bothersome is that he'll pull that zone read and he can circle your defense. So really accurate, but also a really good athlete.
You mentioned his games last year. When you get a quarterback and you see a guy, hit 11 in a row against one team and 12 in a row against another team, does that indicate a guy is either streaky or a guy that gets hot? And then in your mind you think, well, we can't let this guy become a flamethrower.
Probably means he's accurate, and he's smart, so he knows where to go with the ball. Sometimes, to hit 11 in a row, you have to take the completion that's there, So as I mentioned in the last segment, offense about timing, defense about disrupting timing. So that's what's important for us to try to do different things coverage-wise, pass rush-wise to affect his timing. Because if he sits back, if he has a chance to sit back there and throw it when he wants to, he's really hard to stop.
Historically, man, it's been great to play a team from the Big Ten at noon kickoff in Miami. That's something that has been always tried to been accomplished here every time that happens. But our fans again came out. It was great to have everybody there. You talked about it last week, how important it would be for these young men to run through the smoke. We need them there again on Saturday.
We do. The tailgate's got to start early. It was just cool to see all the tents in the parking lot. Even the tailgates weren't there a year ago, and I'm sure there was some great food being consumed out there. And got to have a breakfast tailgate to get in that stadium at noon. I even think back, just even the Dolphins when these early games when the either Buffalo or New England would come down from the Northeast and New York and play in Miami in September. It's going to be hot in there, and I think that's why the key is going to be what offense can control the ball. Right, because if teams can get on long drives, you can rest your defense. It's going to be hot for our guys too. We're used to it. It's going to be really hot for their guys, and so it'll be important for us to stay on the field on offense. To be able to create drives, to get first downs, convert third downs, and as we know from a week ago, finish in the red zone.
This was a game that was supposed to be played, it was a part of a 2-game series. Last year's game, of course, got postponed or canceled. But this is a great matchup. It's a heck of a game. ACC, Big Ten, kind of game you want to be in, kind of game you like to have on your schedule.
Yeah, and hopefully the games that we'll probably be seeing more of going,
Sure.
forward with the alliance. And as you mentioned, I don't know the last time we've had a Big Ten team, come to Miami. It feels like it's been a while. And yeah, we missed the trip to going up there last year. We wanted to play those guys up there a year ago, but we get them here now, and I think it's going to be. I think we're going to have a really good crowd. We'll need them. And it was fun playing defense. All those defensive stops I mentioned when we had them backed up were in front of the West End Zone.
That's
so,
right.
That matters for our guys, and the crowd created a false start in the second half on their guy. I mean, all that stuff it's like it is our 12th man.
Coach, what determines a great return man, whether it's the punt or the kickoff?
Well, they're a little different. A kickoff, you got to trust your blocks. A kickoff is about hitting that seam. You got to trust it. You got to have great speed, but you got to have great vision because punt is different. Punt, there's a courage involved in punt because people are already around you, and you got to have great decision making in punt. Normally on punt, also you have to make a guy miss. There's usually going to be one guy that's not going to be all blocked. You very rarely just catch a punt, just run in the end zone for a touchdown. But if you can get that first guy to miss, and then all of a sudden your blockers, can latch onto their guy, you can make big things happen. You think about when KJ Osborne took over a couple years ago and how good he did. And the last thing about returners, the guys blocking for him know who the returner is, and they know that if the guy's got a chance to score, they're going to block a little bit harder because they know that, man, if I just hold on to that block and strain a little harder, this thing could be explosive.
All right, we're going to wrap this segment up, but the most important question, well, maybe not the most important question, but the one everybody's dying to know, did you have any idea that a cat was hanging on for dear life in the upper deck?
I had no idea. There's so many questions I have about that. I don't know where cats come from in stadiums.
Right.
Don't think of cats as things that normally hang over ledges like that. I mean, there's just, but great thinking by our fan base to have a flag out and be able to save the cat. Who knows? Maybe this is like our Florida Panthers rat moment.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
Imagine our surprise when we looked up and said, right in front of us, there's a cat hanging right before Don Chaney's going to run for about 25 yards.
So we'll retire the chain and the rings, and when we score a touchdown, we'll just all throw stuffed cats onto the field. It's perfect, but
All right. Best of luck against Michigan State.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Hurricanes and Michigan State, Saturday at 12 o'clock. We'll continue on the show right after this.
Hello, I'm the Good Greek Spiro, and I have some very exciting news. Good Greek Moving and Storage is launching our Welcome Home program. Book your next move with Good Greek, and you will receive our housewarming package, which includes gift cards valued at over $1,000, along with a neighborhood guide as you discover your new favorite local businesses. For the best move ever and to receive your exclusive gift offer, visit goodgreek.com and welcome home.
Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers.
If you train like a pro, then you should be treated like a pro. Much like the human body, our team of sports medicine experts moves as one to achieve a singular goal. Recover your game.